It is time to bring on the very lovely, fetching Micheal Knowles. All right, Senor Knowles, can you hear me, sir?
I've got you. Welcome. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. We are celebrating it. You know what? Me, here in the studio, we don't do anything really big. We just go out to dinner. Now, you're obviously host of the Micheal Knowles Show there at the Daily Wire, Verdict with Ted Cruz. Now, you have a new book, Speechless, right, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And listen, I don't want you to, we're not doing the book tour here thing, because I think you and I have enough rapport. You're one of the only other people who was not quite as dismissive as I was, but from the get-go, and I say this, I love it. I think that there are a lot of great people at Daily Wire, but you know, they were broadcasting from their basement. You were the only one who didn't. Why?
So when it happened, you know, California, you got to shut down, you got to close down the office. So we got home studios. My home studio lasted about 16 hours before I said, nope, not doing this. Sorry, can't. I just will not play into this. So I think I did one, at most two shows from home. I said, this is preposterous. If we give them an inch on this, I don't think we should even give them an inch, but if we do give them an inch, they're going to take the whole yard. And so I'm just going to go back into my office and, you know, I hope I don't get the Wu flu. I think I'm a virile, healthy young man, but I'm going to roll the dice and take my chances. And guess what, Stephen? Here we are. It's a year later. I feel great. Politically, I feel terrible. But physically, I feel pretty good.
Well, that's not necessarily a scientific study, but the point does remain. Did you go in and cough on Ben's mic?
Well, I do that every morning.
Do you?
So there was really no change.
Yeah. This smells like it might be a Catholic apostate here on my microphone. I don't know.
The idea that my microphone would smell like cigars and Armani Code is it's insane.
No, that can't be him. He wears polo by Ralph Lauren. So I think I'm fine. No, but I do, and I know. Listen, you're in California, so you know you don't necessarily have the same liberties as everybody else. When did you realize, though, and again, your new book is Speechless, and you guys, by the way, Gerald and Dave, if you have something, you guys can come in. We just have to turn your mics down because when we go over Skype, sometimes they can't hear everything, but just give me your hand if you have a question for them.
All right.
When did you realize, and you don't have to, I'm just letting you guys know. I have people here, you can't see them, Micheal Knowles. Shh. Okay, shut up.
You told me to be quiet quite specifically.
I said this, meaning turn their mics down, because last time you coughed and Rand Paul was going, well, it's very rude for you to have me on as a guest and have someone coughing.
Come on.
I'd rather not waste my time.
That's a shockingly persuasive Rand Paul. By the way.
It is. Yeah. I don't think Rand Paul and persuasive should go in the same sentence so much as Rand Paul and irritating. And I agree with him on almost everything. And he's always on the show, but he just irritates the hell out of me. And I don't know why. When did you realize there in California that the lockdown powers, because 15 days to flatten the curve, that they were never going to end? Like, when did it hit you?
I think it was about day 15 and a half, I think.
Okay.
I mean, I actually knew it even sooner, because it doesn't work that way. That's not how society works. You don't shut down the entire country and curtail a huge proportion of our rights and tell people they can't go to church, they can't go to restaurants, they can't leave their homes, and then 2 weeks later say, okay, we're good. Okay, we're all good now. And I think what a lot of people mistakenly thought, you understood this from the beginning, but a lot of people fell into this mistake. They said, okay, look, if we accommodate these sociopath politicians and the public health dictators and the exalted Dr. Fauci, peace be upon him,
yes.
If we accommodate them just a little bit, then they'll let us return to normal. If we lock down for 2 weeks, then we're more likely to reopen soon. If we put on the mask or the second mask or whatever, all over our face, if we do that,
that's a balaclava. That's coming next.
That will hasten our return to normal. And the thing is, it does the opposite, because when you go out and you see people wearing these secular keffias all over their face, does that make you feel as though you are returning to normal? No, it's a visual cue that, man, we're in the weirdest, most unprecedented, gosh, we really better take this seriously.
Right.
It creates anxiety. It doesn't assuage anxiety. And so the minute they got past those 2 weeks, you think, okay, really the minute they got past 2 days, but certainly at the end of those 2 weeks, you think, okay, this is going to go on however long the politicians want it to.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and it certainly doesn't make me feel safe or normal. The other day I was at the grocery store and there was an Asian lady who was color coordinated with her blue mask. I thought she was going to perform a fatality. I absolutely agree with you. And now we're being told maybe you'll be able to have small gatherings, right, in the summer. At what point do we admit now? Because originally, and I will say this, we never shut down. We did 2-a-days, which was exhausting when we started, just to let people know they didn't have to live in fear. But I said, look, if people want to take these measures for 15 days, because at this point we didn't have a ton of information, I said, I can maybe understand it, but I don't think that we should go along with giving up liberties. If you're talking about maybe staying home for 15 days, if you're talking about maybe washing your hands a little more, I think everyone was on board. But when it came to shutting down businesses, it changed. Now we have such an overwhelming amount of data. We've reached the point where you don't hear them saying trust the science so much anymore. They're saying trust Fauci, trust the scientist in chief. How do you think, for people out there who feel helpless, how do they combat the weaponization of science? From this to, for crying out loud, puberty blockers for 6-year-olds.
Right, of course. Well, it's all part of the same larger problem. The thing that has happened over the past 20 years or so, maybe even a little longer, is it's not just the left grabbing political power, it's that the right has willingly ceded political power, because we've taken this really narrow view of politics. So what is politics? Politics is how we all get along together. Politics is how we all decide we can live together and tolerate one another.
Okay, Dave Rubin, I think we all agree in the middle.
No, guys, this is the way that we should look at politics. But what we've done is we've taken this really narrow view where we say, politics is just this very specific things that the politicians do, and science is totally separate.
Right.
Dr. Fauci is a public health expert. That means that he's part scientist, right? That's the health part, and part politician. That's the public part. Public and political mean the same thing. And so when Dr. Fauci comes out and he says, masks do not work, there is no reason to use a mask.
Right.
Well, we slow the spread. When he says that, and then 2 weeks later says, forget about that, I was lying to you because I wanted the nurses to have the masks, not you peasants. When he says that, he's admitting that he was not making a scientific argument, he was making a political argument. He wanted to allocate certain resources to his preferred group and not to you. Well, if we can see Dr. Fauci admitting that to us, we should be able to realize, these scientific decisions are all political. And in this country, at least for now, when we engage in politics, we the people have a right to have some say in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people disconnect themselves from the concept that scientists too can be valueless assholes who should basically be unemployed. Because again, like I've said, I want to see Dr. Fauci, Dr. Levine. We're getting a little loose with the terminology. I want to see Dr. Fauci's schedule. I want to see his work log in November 2019, before the pandemic. This guy probably had nothing on his agenda. We're going to go to, because I know you're a foul man, so we're going to go to Mug Club only here in a little bit, because Micheal Knowles, he's just an absolute brute once we go to Mug Club. But people on YouTube, again, I want to hear from you. Just leave a comment. It's the best thing you guys can do for the algorithm. And also, we're going to be reading some of your comments here next week. How has your life changed since lockdown? When do you think it's time to get back to normal? And what has been the most egregious lie? YouTube, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy fact-checking the over 80 sources from today's show. Right now, piss off.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.